Good morning, gang. Happy Tuesday. Okay, before I get started, real quick, any of you guys in Texas who buy your groceries, any of them at HEB, check your spam. There's not a recall, but there has been a public warning issued by the USDA about a certain lot of spam that was produced back in August. Obviously, for us, we stock food. So I'll link this below so you guys can take a look at it real quick to make sure that you don't have any in your preps, because apparently it's spoiled, not sterilized enough. So that's just below. What I want to talk about this morning is something that hits us all. In case anybody noticed, the national debt crossed $33 trillion yesterday. Now, everybody goes, oh, okay. I want to give you this as an idea. We crossed $32 trillion in May. June, July, August, September. We added $1 trillion in debt. Trillion with a T, okay, in 4 months. This is the Biden economy. I want to give you an idea of how big 33 trillion is. No, not how many $100 bills are stacked or whatever. I want to give you this. $33 trillion is the total, this is what we're in debt, of the combined economies, add all these together, of China, Japan, Germany, India, and the UK. That's how far we are in debt. If we took all of those GDPs and combined them, we're talking some of the biggest producers of everything in the world, okay, that's what it would take to pay off our debt. We would basically have to absorb all those countries' economies completely to pay off our debt. Now, you want an idea how far that goes? If by somehow we wanted to pay that off, that equals $252,000 per household. Okay? I mean, what is it? The average house in the United States now somewhere around 300 and something. So basically, if every family in the country sold their house and got cash for it, we didn't owe any debt. Okay, that would pay off the national debt. How about this one? It would take $99,000 per person, okay, including babies, children, teenagers, retirees, et cetera, et cetera. Every single one of us. $99,000 per person. The average salary in the United States is, like I've told you guys many times, a little bit more than 50 grand, okay? And somewhere around 60% of the American public works, okay? I mean, obviously babies and kids and stuff like that don't, retirees are done, okay? 60%. That means that everything everybody makes for nearly 4 years is what it would take, everything, to pay off the national debt. Are you guys getting the idea that that debt will never get paid? It's impossible. It can't be done. I don't care if we have another industrial revolution. I don't care if we have another dot-com boom, anything of the sort that would create wealth. I mean, I don't care if they figured out how to make cars run on oxygen. It ain't going to happen. This is how bad it's gotten, guys. Okay, this is economically where we prep. You take a look at where we could possibly go as individuals to protect ourselves from this. All right? We have to save money. I mean, and again, I'm going to qualify this real quick. We all know the dollar is going to collapse. It's going to become the Venezuelan bolivar. It's going to become Zimbabwean currency, whatever it would be, okay? And we're going to have a worthless dollar. We all know that's coming. None of us know what day it's going to happen. That's the thing. So yes, you need to be saving some dollars, no question. But again, now we get into how do you protect yourself? And I've had this conversation with Mrs. P, with friends, with people sitting in a restaurant, okay, about what we think is going on here. How do you protect yourself? Because when it all blows up, what are you going to do? Gold and silver, okay? Is that the answer? It might be part of it. There is no one answer. I'm going to tell everybody that right now. There isn't one thing. As many preppers, you got to go do this. No, sorry. That's bullshit. Okay. Do you want to have some gold and silver? Sure, but is that the answer? No. As many of you guys tell me all the time, the Bible says they'll be throwing their gold and silver out in the street because it's worthless. Okay? Could be possible. If the government cracks down on gold and silver and says, let's go back to FDR, this is the price of gold, period, and you're forbidden to own it, okay? We're stuck at that. People say, well, it could be Bitcoin. Yeah. I mean, or I don't think particularly it's going to be Bitcoin in its current state, but some sort of decentralized currency. Yeah, that's a very good possibility because we see how well a government-run currency doesn't work. Okay? So we get into tangible assets, and this gets harder and harder and harder to get. Land, okay? It's getting more expensive everywhere, harder and harder and harder to buy. You want to finance it, you're going to pay through the nose in interest because where everybody talks about mortgage rates at 7%, land has a higher interest rate. Okay? Simple reason is it's not as liquid. It's not as easy to sell a piece of raw land as it is to sell an already built house. So it's even more expensive to buy land. Then you talk about things like, I don't know, should I buy equipment? A tractor, a car. Those are depreciating assets. That's not exactly going to get you somewhere. Should I buy food? Yes. Okay. No question about that whatsoever. But, I've said this a million times too. You guys know this. The day you crack that first mason jar or that first can of food you bought or open that first Mylar bag, the clock starts ticking. Okay. Because now you have less and less and less. The most important thing you can do, again, we go into buy weapons or what. Yes, you need to have a little bit of all of them, but what can you do? As the economy is going to explode, what happens? What you need to do, and I've said this, I'm going to reiterate it again, and I'm just trying to drive a point home because I've said it many times. There are new people to the channel. There are people that have been here since the beginning. You need to prepare that you will never be able to leave your property again. No going to the store, no going to the bank, no going anywhere. The fact that whatever property you live on, whether it's an apartment or whether you live on 1,000 acres somewhere, you need to figure out either how to make yourself completely 100% self-sufficient. And I know that's practically impossible. Okay, I get it. No need to tear me up in the comments about that. You need to get as close as you can to 100% self-sufficient on your property. If you were told tomorrow you cannot leave the confines of whatever area you live in, or your option is move to a 15-minute city. This is where we've gotten to, guys. This is how far in debt this country is. At that rate, everybody was talking about Joe's policies. We're going to raise the national debt $2 trillion a year. We just did $1 trillion in 4 months. If my math works correctly, okay, 12 divided by 4 is 3. That means $3 trillion a year. So we're going to increase our national debt by 10% a year. That's not sustainable, guys. That does not happen. Because I will tell you this, when the U.S. economy collapses, the world economy collapses. We talk about all the time the collapse of the petrodollar. BRICS ain't going to save the world, guys. As much as the Russians, the Chinese, Brazil, India, South Africa, as much as they think it's going to save the world, it's not. Okay, they are. Brazil is not going to be able to have the technical advances or whatever it is that's made by the U.S. Liberalism, globalism has destroyed the world economy. And it's not going to take long till we're going to wake up one morning, just like Mrs. P did one day in Russia. And as she was saying to me yesterday, there was one day where she could go into the store and for 50 rubles, okay, which is now about 50 cents, okay, could buy 10 bottles of vegetable oil. And she goes, the next day I woke up and those 50 rubles would buy one bottle of vegetable oil. What's the currency at that point? I don't know. Like I said to her, I said, all of a sudden, you got 10 bottles of vegetable oil. I said, that's worth more than a ruble. What do you have? To quote Capital One, what's in your wallet? Pinball out.